Welcome to the TCAT 10-Minute Take. It is I, your host, Sheree L. Stewart, and with me, as always, is my intrepid co-host, Don the Legend, the Essential Worker Chambers. We haven't been here in a minute. As you know, movies are kind of all over the place, but with the new news dropping from Warner Brothers dropping a whole slate on HBO Max, we might start rolling these out in the coming weeks. But right now we have some Christmas offerings. Some new Christmas things dropped, and today's Christmas offering is Jingle Jangle.
Jingle Jangle. Yes.
But before we get started, make sure you click that subscribe button and you click that bell to get all the 10-minute takes as soon as they drop. And as always, Mr. Chambers will go first. Go.
Okay. Jingle Jangle, directed by David E. Talbert, starring Forrest Whitaker and Keegan-Michael Key. Also has Felicia Rashad in there. Let me say Jingle Jangle was pretty enjoyable. It kind of reminded... The first thing I thought of when the first musical part happened was, oh, this is like an R&B soul Christmas story. Basically, And I was like, cool. Didn't have a problem. Story-wise, it is very much kind of a deeper story comparatively to this other Christmas movie we're going to review a little later. This one had a kind of a deeper story. There's a bit more to it, and I liked it. I thought it was good. I thought all the acting in it was top notch. I thought the costuming, the whole look of it was on point. There's no getting around that. But I will say one person in there, Lisa Davina Phillip, who plays Miss Johnston. To me, she had the most fun out of anybody in there because she went full bore with it, and I kind of dug it. Story-wise, let's also be honest, you kind of see the points, the beats where it's going to happen. You see sort of the movement there. I mean, it's definitely a PG. Honestly, it could have just been a G movie. I mean, nothing horrendous is occurring on screen. Obviously, it's a feel-good Christmas movie. It has a good story. It has the happy ending. Everybody is great. Even, I did not know, but and one of the little toys is voiced by Ricky Martin. And I was like,
yeah.
Oh, wow. And that's kind of cool to find out. But the one thing, if it's a con against this movie, is, boy, it's a straight 2 hours.
Is it?
It is, yeah. It is a full 2 hours and like 5-minute movie or something like that. And I was like, whew. It's a little long. I mean, they really... Some parts that I thought they sort of drug out for a little bit more melodrama or just to add to. I'm like, you really could cut that a little bit shorter so we can get to the point and keep it moving. It just felt a little long, but everything else, the musical pieces were great. Again, it looked beautiful. It shot well. It's a good Christmas story. It's definitely something you bring the kids, you sit them down, you let them watch. I thought it was great representation. We finally show up in a Christmas. I would call it like a classic Christmas story, more than just maybe one character, no characters at all. We're kind of like the main characters, but it's not a black Christmas movie. Like that's not the big thing. It just kind of gives it a little flavor, gives it a little something. Like I said, the musical pieces are like these, R&B soul kind of things. So it was like, okay, we're putting a little twist to it. If I was to give it, a number score 1 to 10, I'd give this easily an 8 for what it is as a Christmas movie because it accomplishes that very well.
Where do you put it on our scale?
Our scale, if you have kids, yes, go take the kids opening night. If it's, say, just you and your significant other, you could wait for like a matinee to sit there and for the 2 hours because it's a kids movie at heart. You know, it's something for them to watch and enjoy. Um, so I think it hits the mark for what it's trying to do.
Hmm. I thought this movie is going to be an instant classic. It's going to be one of those movies that people watch every year. That
Could be.
first song hit hard. It slapped. I was like, "Oh, this is where we're going with
I
this."
told you.
When the bass dropped, though, I was like, "Whoa, wait a minute!" Like it wasn't a tip. Like I didn't. I expected it to be more like, "Oh, we're gonna have an R&B Christmas," but I didn't expect that first song to hit hard like that. Like they
No,
went in.
it's an R&B Christmas story. Trust me.
Was like, all right, so we're going hard then. It was really like beautiful. Like the cinematography
Hmm.
was beautiful, the costumes were beautiful, the hairstyles were beautiful, Afrocentric hairstyles, and then it was set in this kind of Victorian era, no
Hmm.
place. But the beautiful Victorian dresses were made with African patterns and cloths, and it was just so colorful and lovely, and the composition was lovely, and the casting was excellent. All the acting was really good.
Hmm.
I have like minor gripes, but it's one of those things where, you can't please everybody all the time. And this movie checked a lot of boxes. And I think it's going to be really good for, all kinds of people to watch this for Christmas. Like it's just a feel good story about, refinding your passion for stuff in life and never giving up, and things get thrown your way, and things aren't always fair, but you can't let that get you down. And it was just a really good movie. I'm really shocked that I haven't seen it more in the press. I really haven't seen much about it at all, as good as it was. um, it's unbelievable that there's more. I saw more about Netflix taking The Grinch off, 3 weeks before
Hmm.
Christmas than I saw about this movie dropping for Christmas. And that is a travesty because it's really good. Um,
Yeah, it's everybody should definitely check it out for
there were
sure.
a
It's very
couple
enjoyable.
things that I didn't care for, like the Mrs. Johnson character. I loved that actress. I thought
Hmm.
she was charismatic. I thought she was funny. I thought she was fun. I thought she clearly had the most fun, like you said. I just don't necessarily like that characterization of the like slightly predatory, heavy black woman going after her man and wearing him down. Like he doesn't appreciate her. Like I kind of am over that narrative in general. Um, and I wish that he had been more into it, but like stopping himself. Like it was more clear that there was a kind
Hmm.
of a back and forth. Like why would she keep being so aggressive when he's clearly not into it and then suddenly he is?
Right.
Like there needed to be more back and forth to have her make sense, and for me, and to have his turn make sense. Like he was stopping himself for whatever reason, like grief and self-esteem and just not feeling where he was in his
I,
place. And
I think for this though, like I get what you're saying. I
it was
could
just so much. And it's like what kind of, it just seems like that's a message that we're always getting about black women is, but if there hadn't been so many other black women in this, it would have been a bigger problem than it is,
true,
because she's not the only black woman in it. Usually that character is the only black woman in a
but
movie.
right, but I
And
think
so,
but it was so obvious what her point was in this
sure,
movie that I mean I could instantly tell like, oh, she's gonna help him move forward with life. See, he can still move. I mean, you could instantly see what her role was.
yeah,
I mean,
it just so aggressive as far
true.
as him clearly saying no and her ignoring him. And like that's
Hmm.
just thing that is a thing, always a thing. That dark skinned, heavier black women are undesirable is always a thing. But it's like if she had been the only representation in the movie of Black women, then it would be a bigger thing than it is. But it is
Right.
kind of a tired trope that I'm tired of seeing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the daughter not having a husband, or, I mean, she's not that she needed a husband, but she just, I don't understand why she was a
They,
single mom.
they didn't get
They didn't
deep
get
into
into it,
that, which I
which
was
was
gonna
weird.
say. Yeah, I was gonna say if you're gonna be 2 hours, I thought they probably could have used the time better, maybe on that sort of story
Yeah.
where they kind of just left it. And I was like, okay, I'll just sort of let it go. I guess
I
that
like
wasn't.
that too. And I just, it was unnecessary. I feel like, the way they characterized her, like, she would have been the type to have a happy family at home, to not repeat the mistakes. Like, she had a good, childhood, and until the
Hmm.
traps, but to try to, until her mom died. But, like, I just feel like that side of her life wasn't explored at all. Like, I mean, she clearly she had a daughter, so at some point
But
she
yeah,
had she had a partner.
yeah,
So I just feel like that was a little threads that were left dangling. And to round out her character and what's going on there, because she just picked up everything and they spent Christmas with her. I'm giving it all away, but
yeah.
obviously you know where it's going at the end. But they like they just picked up everything and spent Christmas wherever without any kind of, like, what were they gonna do? What were their other plans? What are
Right.
they leaving behind? Were they just sitting around and doing nothing? Clearly they weren't, because
Yeah.
she didn't have a life outside of
Hmm.
the father.
Hmm.
And for someone you haven't seen in, like, it was just a thread that was left dangling. And like you said, for 2 hours, there were places that 2 hours could have been spent to, like, build the story a tiny bit more. But that's
Yes.
all nits to pick that don't
Hmm.
mean anything in the grand scheme of things, because this movie is very enjoyable. I didn't even realize it was 2 hours. The songs are really good. The dancing sequences,
Hmm.
usually that kind of bothers me. I like musicals. I don't dislike musicals. Um, but it felt, organic. Like, they didn't feel
Hmm.
like it came out of nowhere. Keegan Michael Key was really good. Ricky Martin
Hmm.
was really good. I would say watch this immediately, before Christmas, during Christmas, after Christmas. If you need to, like, kind of turn off the world for a 2 hour stretch, this is an excellent movie. Yeah, I would pay full price theater ticket for it if it was in the theaters. I would go see this. I would recommend people go see this. So take your kids to go see it. Since it's on Netflix and you're home, I,
Yes.
I see them watching this, like, multiple times and you getting sick of it. Let them
But
do that.
exactly. But listen, if it's a movie to get sick of,
There are
why not a
worse
good?
things.
Exactly. There are worse things.
The songs
Um,
in that, like, there are worse things to
there are
be.
worse things to get sick of. That's for sure. One thing we don't want you guys to get sick of is checking in with us always to see our next movie review. Remember, hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, hit the bell to get notified every time we put up a new video, or you can just go to our website, tcadnetwork.com. There we've got links to all of our 10-minute takes. We've got links to Good Morning Antioch, the reading, as well as our TCAT podcast, which is hosted on a number of different podcast sites. So, obviously, we both like Jingle Jangle. Definitely check it out. Definitely watch it. Definitely, if you got kids, sit them down, let them watch it. I think it's going to be one they'll probably watch as long as they're young for years to come,
I
for
hope
sure.
so. So good.
I think so. I think so. So until next time, see you.